to our YouTube channel, and welcome to Red Carpet Reviews, where we review all the latest films in the theaters. My name is Tracy.
Zach.
I'm Kidman.
My name's Hillary.
And the first movie we're going to talk about in this two-movie video is going to be Hillary Letterman.
Big Hero 6!
Woo!
Oh my god, it was so good.
Hello, I am Baymax. Tadashi programmed me to heal the sick and injured. You will be alright.
Well, there's a whole slew of great voice actors in this movie. I mean, you have Ryan Potter, that was Hiro. You have,
Jamie Chung was Go-Go.
Yeah, Go-Go.
Damian Wayans Jr. Most people who have no idea who that is, because you've never watched anything with the Wayans brothers in it at all. He's the younger one, the smaller one. The one that was probably, I think he was in, Let's Be Cops.
He was
He was in Let's Be Cops. He was Wasabi. The one black guy, the one token black guy in Fran Sansokyo. Yes, it's a very difficult thing to say, but he was awesome. They gave him Halo plasma blades. Sweet, royalty-free plasma blades.
Which is why you are now called Wasabi.
Yep, they gave me that nickname here.
Not Wasabi.
Because as you can see, only one.
We also got Genesis Rodriguez as Honey Lemon, which is an interesting character.
That is a very strange nickname. Then
Honey Lemon.
they explained to you how everyone got their nickname, but they skipped her. There's even an interesting person with a very strange name. His name is Scott Adsit. Yes, Scott Adsit. He was Baymax, a cute little fluffy guy that was like a warm marshmallow when you hugged him when you were cold. That's who he was. And the movie itself, if I had to give it any sort of critiquing, I would say it's a great film for families. You know, you can get all the families, all the small children, all the big kids, all the adults, and watch a movie and have a grand old time with it without losing any sort of aspect of, oh, this is just meant for kids, or oh, this part is finally only towards adults. Nope! It puts everything into one movie.
It's a very well-rounded, well-done animated film. It's great for adults, it's great for kids. There's things in the film that are only like adults would understand, but there's things in that kids would like love.
Overall, it's a movie that everyone is gonna enjoy.
And it's not a movie that you're gonna feel really awkward going in if you're like, you know.
Do you see how old we are? Look at the facial.
I mean, I'm almost 22 years old.
Me too.
And
I'm 21.
and I'm going to go watch
30.
this.
Lord have
Shut
mercy,
your
Grandpa.
But it's a movie.
Did you remember your walker when we went to watch the film? Did you keep it?
I think he
I had to park it outside. Anyways.
But it's a movie that you can go see by yourself, and you're not going to feel awkward if you don't have a kid with you.
The thing I like about this movie, it's fun. Disney does put this little what they do in almost every film. There's some sad parts in there that really get you, catch you emotionally. We can't say really what it is because there's some good surprises in there, some surprise characters in there, and it's a good twist.
A good Twix.
Oh man, I want
this video is sponsored by Twix. No,
I can't.
Don't forget.
There's a good twist in there, and it's just the conclusion was very good.
And also, I guarantee you are going to be leaving the theater doing the handshake. Believe me,
Yes.
you will end up leaving it every single time doing that same stupid handshake.
Do
But it's
not
funny.
forget to watch after the credits because there's a very special scene at the end, and you're going to see someone that you recognize.
Like any other Disney movie or any sort of...
It's really good though. It completely surprised me.
Surprised you?
I should've
It's
said shocked.
surprising.
It's very surprising.
You were saying
Surprising.
shebang and surprise
Shebang.
at the same time. That's
You know
happens.
what? You know what? Hairy baby.
Hairy baby.
See, that movie just has a slew of words you can use.
So that being said, any
Last remarks. Last remark I gotta say is go watch the movie. Don't even waste your time. If you know that you're gonna like this movie, if you were debating to go watch it, go ahead. Just go and watch it. If you feel like you're gonna waste money, go find your cheap theater. Go to the matinee, spend $6, grab yourself some popcorn, enjoy yourself.
Please go see this movie. It is so good. I thought it was gonna be stupid. It wasn't. It was so good.
so
Who's next? Come on.
10 out of 10 rating.
I'm gonna give it 9 pandas out of 10.
I'm gonna
It would
give.
have gotten full 10, however, there was a certain scene in there that I wasn't happy about.
I'm gonna give it a 9.5.
You know what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna give it a 9.5 because I kind of guessed the ending a little bit, but it wasn't exactly what I was hoping for. But still, amazing. Just go see it.
I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 5. 9 out of
9 out of 5?
Yeah.
9 out of 5. Look at that rating, people.
I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 also. There was a couple things I was like, you didn't have to do that.
Like ripping my heart out? There was 0 point for
There's
that?
a little Darth Vader
that-
moment in there that you guys need to look out for.
Oh, it just broke
Yeah,
my
there's
heart.
some Easter eggs, but yeah, I still enjoyed it. 9 out of 10.
me.
How about you, Zach?
What about you, Zach?
You are all going to hate me.
Oh boy.
It is
Oh,
2
boy.
points lower than yours. 7 out
I
of
can't
10.
do math. Oh, Jesus, that was way off.
I liked
I was like,
the
what, an
character
8?
Baymax.
Mm-hmm.
He was a robot, acted like a robot, obviously, but he still seemed to have a bit of humanity in him.
You know how when you watch a movie and you feel like you can figure it out in like the first 10
Oh
minutes?
god, kind of like
You know?
Interstellar.
Which we're gonna get to, I believe now. That's a nice
That one went way over my head.
That was a great transition.
So
It was
next
great.
we're going to talk about Interstellar.
You might have to decide between seeing your children again and the future of the human race.
We'll find a way.
Interstellar!
Interstellar!
Space.
The final frontier. No, not really. Please, no.
With this movie, it's not that hard to explain. You got Earth being on the last cusp of humanity, trying to find survival, and then you call in Matthew McConaughey, Dune guy, or whatever else you saw him in that probably was adequate.
Dallas Buyers Club.
Like I said, adequate. Magic Mike. Anywho, we're gonna talk about things he did right. Sort of.
Well, let's talk about the good points before we get to bad points.
The good
I
points.
have a lot of bad points. That's just me.
But by the way, the people in this movie, you got Michael Caine, you got Matthew McConaughey, you got Anne Hathaway, and there's somebody else in
The
there.
token
Who is that guy that we all just kind of said
There's
his name
al-
at the same time?
That is well, we can't really say because
Is this supposed to be a surprise?
it's
I
a
have no
surprise.
idea. Okay.
He's not. There's a couple characters that are not publicly casted and will catch you off guard.
Okay.
And you'll end up saying
Yeah.
their name in the middle of the movie going, oh
And
my
you're like,
god, really?
What are they doing in this movie?
But that happened. But as we were proceeding, the movie itself is just think Inception, but in space, without the sleep, but with all the annoyance of trying to think too much. See where I'm going with that?
There's so much math in that.
It is a very high-tech, science-y film, and it's like the NASA astronauts all having a regular conversation that they would if we were not in the room with them.
My
there's
favorite
no
character
common
was
English
Tar.
at all.
That was my
I love
favorite character
Tar.
too!
My favorite characters are the robots. You know why? Because they can be completely cynical and sarcastic, and everyone will be okay with it.
But we should also mention that this 3-hour film was directed, written, and produced by Christopher Nolan.
And his brother Jonathan, or is that his father?
Yeah, co-written by Jonathan Nolan, his brother.
Good. Oh boy, that
And it was produced by Kip Thorne, who is a
Physicist?
no, he's an cosmetologist.
He's a
Right?
cosmetologist.
No, that's not the word I want.
I was like,
A theoretical physicist?
No, it starts with a C. It was also produced by Kip Thorne, who is a really smart scientist that Christopher Nolan got to be part of the film to explain all the sciencey stuff, to make it as practical as possible.
We'll
so
think
it
of the word
almost
later.
seems like we're watching a documentary, like it's really happening, and that's the way they intended filming it. So there's also the first time that a black hole or a wormhole was depicted in the film as if it was
as if you
Real.
can actually see inside.
As if,
as
like,
You
you can
actually see what it is. And
as you can
know
actually
what it
see
is.
what it is and get up close to it using real life physics and mathematics. It's not like like Star Trek where it's just like a black, like almost every space movie you watch, it's
Black
just a black
with a little bit of
spot,
white in
and
there.
you see a couple stars and you see some of this, but they really put the math and the physics into it and said this is what would happen if there was an imploding star wrapped around this black hole, creating the image that you see in the film. And I think that's just amazing that they took the extra mile to put all this real science
Do you know who would have been a
Film.
perfect fit for this movie?
Who?
Howard Wolowitz
Yes.
and Sheldon Cooper.
Yes. Okay.
They would have made this film quite interesting.
By the way, if there's something I can add to what it was you were explaining, Kip Thorne's book also served as inspiration for the movie as well.
It
Yeah.
had a whole lot of writing material involved from the book, which
Oh, yeah.
I thought was...
Yeah.
That movie made me so motion sick.
I mean,
thought
the
it was
movie
amazing.
itself, in my personal opinion, I didn't find it all that amazing. With everybody saying, "Oh, this was the greatest movie ever. This is the greatest movie of this year." Blah 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 blah. But to get down to the fact of it, I just found most of the sequences to be more so too much outer space, little interaction with people. The trailers made it look like it was going to be such a great film, like all these actions and things happening, and all the Earth is going to die. Blah 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 blah. We've had a lot of apocalypse movies that took different routes. I like the route that they took because none of them took the route to space. Well,
Yes, no, maybe so.
none of them. We'll think about that later.
And they all have that last minute save the Earth moment.
It happens all the time. Oh my god, I figured out how to save the Earth with the last 3 minutes of this movie to spare. Yay! That's not the actual thing of this movie. It's just, it happens every time. The climax is at the end! There's nothing in the middle that made me happy to sit there. I went in, Matthew McConaughey with his low hanging talking voice like this, just saying words.
There's a lot of dirt.
Well, he was like my favorite. He was my favorite actor. I think Matthew McConaughey portrayed his character the best out of everyone in the film.
I got more emotion out of Anne Hathaway.
Yep.
I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
She did surprise me. Like some of her movies are a little.
don't you
cheesy.
dare talk
Don't.
about the princess in her diary.
Although what I loved was that she reprised her role as an Amelia when her very first movie that she was in was Princess Diaries, and she played Amelia Thermopolis.
She
Mia.
had a real.
So I thought that's what made me
movie.
excited in the movie.
And I like the
And
name
the-
Amelia. Oh,
And that movie made me so motion sick. I was like, I feel like I'm gonna be sick. So I just kept looking away from the screen every time they're like, oh, we're spinning because centrifugal force. And I was like,
'Cause
stop.
I did like that they did that though, because every space movie out there, like Star Trek, Star Wars, it's just a ship taking off and heading out, and all of a sudden they're at Pluto at 20 minutes later. The one thing I did like about this film is it was like a couple stages of how they were going to get somewhere, and it actually took time, and they had to like go to sleep, and they had to like spin the ship so they can have artificial gravity. They explained everything, whereas like Star Trek is like gravity's not explained. It's just, oh, here's flip a switch, it's on.
But with Star Trek and Star Wars and things of that nature in the sci-fi realm, they are light years ahead of us with things that they have done. And except for Star Wars, they're in a galaxy far, far away and a long time ago. So in their galaxy, they're about like 400,000 years ahead of us. So
True.
if they can figure out how to put gravity on a ship without it having to do whee, turning into a merry-go-round, then that's basically how they perceived it. The same thing with Star Trek. Their star dates are like 2700.1.7-3865, stuff like that.
Started 84.
See?
We ended up on planet Earth.
That
Excuse me,
hypersleep
Kirk.
though is
That
like-
hypersleep is something I can agree with. I took a hyper nap.
I am completely opposite of the other side of the couch. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I think it's one of Nolan's best, along with The Dark Knight.
I'm Bane. Yeah.
Not Rises.
I didn't say Rises. I won't give that credit, but The Dark Knight I thought was one of his greatest movies.
You're gonna die, Bane.
Act 1 and Act 2 did go pretty steady, and it did it was kind of slow and steady.
It was.
But
There's
the
no
third
denying
act,
that.
the third act was
It's too much
crazy.
to talk about.
It- we-
Spoilers.
which we can't talk about.
We can't talk about because it's one of the best kept secrets in
Cinema
I'm not gonna lie to
history.
you, it's-
in cinema in the last few years, because they didn't put any of the footage in trailers, they didn't talk about it in interviews. Even if you predict the movie or not, they didn't publicly confirm or display anything from the third act. And I like that. Even the surprise actors that were never credited publicly. a few days after this movie comes out, you know, the word's gonna get around who they are. But
I mean,
I liked how they did that. You know, like Nolan does keep his projects on the wraps for the longest time. I saw an interview with Nolan that said he wanted to inspire people to want to look up to the stars again, and that was the purpose behind the film, to have that idea of maybe possibly looking for ways to, you know, because a lot of people believe in the future, you know, maybe Earth won't be around, or we might have to look for a new home or something like that. So there's a lot of speculation with how that's going to work out. You know, I have my personal beliefs, someone else has their personal beliefs, but as far as what Nolan believes and what he wanted to imply, he really wanted to just inspire people. And speaking of inspiration, I don't know if anyone can agree, one of my favorite things about the movie that I previewed a little bit before on its own, but in the movie it's beautiful, is the score. I'm not gonna lie, I think Hans Zimmer outdid himself with the score in this film. It brings so much emotion to the emotional scenes. Like, I don't know.
The thrilling scenes got your heart.
Like, it got your heart. Like, I thought maybe the music might have been a little too loud for some of the conversations, but after remembering it, I thought it was like just perfect. I think Hans Zimmer should get. I think he should get
when it
the
was
Oscar for
actually
music.
playing.
I think like the parts in
Just the way
space,
movies.
are silent because space is silent. But like all the things on the planets, all the things on Earth, or and like other places that they visit that we can't give away, the music is really intense.
They
and
go to
emotional.
Hoth. They go to Hoth.
Hoth.
They go to Hoth.
Run into a few ATs.
They basically go to Hoth.
Well, that's not to say
They get to
that
ride a tauntaun. It's really nice.
But
Didn't
Well,
use
that's
the
not to
lightsaber,
say. That's
No
not to
lightsaber.
say that I didn't like the movie. I disliked certain parts of the movie, and it just didn't grab me as a person because I was not expecting to go to the movie and it be almost like a documentary with reenactors of what happened. Because at the very beginning of the film, it's like people talking about, oh, well, when I was there, blah, blah, blah. And then it's almost like it segues into reenactment, and I was not expecting a documentary type film. And that's how
I
I
was
felt
confused.
like it was to me.
I was a little
And
confused with that.
So that already threw me off. And then I had watched the trailers thinking there was going to be all this excitement and what, new stuff about space and wormholes and this and that and amazing score. And I was like, awesome, this is going to be great. And then I got there and a lot of the movie was silent because they were in space, which was really unnerving. And then I didn't understand half of what the movie was about because I blinked and I missed a major portion of it. And it was very confusing.
This is definitely a film that if you go see it, you do not want to have any reason to use the restroom. That is almost like taking a rail off of a train track and seeing what happens next. Like, you're gonna come back and be like, what did I just miss? The film is a dialogue film. The dialogue is strong and very intelligent and high tech, and that's what it's about. And it's mostly, I'd say the film is not about finding a new home and going into space and going through the wormhole and going to another galaxy.
That's not what it's about at all.
It's Cooper and his daughter. It's the relationship between his daughter and him, and the possibility of, will he return to her? Will he ever see her again? And that's what I loved about the movie. Even though it went on an epic journey, it was all about the relationship with his daughter, and that was the whole premise of the film.
Which
And
is
everything
also a
goes
fun
right.
fact that he had a code name for this movie Interstellar for his own daughter. Did you know that?
Yeah.
That's a very fun. I thought that was interesting. I'm like, oh, well, that's nice because he's so distant from his daughter, making all these movies and stuff. But you know, he loves you.
And I was a little worried at the beginning of the film. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little worried when there's a part in there where the daughter says something and the rest of the family doesn't believe her, and I was like, really?
Calling
They're
it
gonna go
ghost.
with that? I don't want to give too much about it, but yeah, I was like, what route are they taking? But when you get to the third act, I was like, oh, okay, well, it makes sense now. What's your 10 out of.
And you can't do
10 out of
subtraction.
what?
What's my 10?
You can't do subtraction this time, buddy, because
How-
no one said their numbers before
Yeah.
you.
Oh, I'm
1
first.
out of 10.
How many galaxies you give this?
I would give this 8 galaxies out of 10.
And why is that?
Let's see. I love the movie. Well, scratch that. I don't love it. I like it. It's a very good movie. I would watch it again. But it, if it gets on there. But it seemed a little bit too, I don't want to use the word cliched, but it was like as if Hollywood really got their hands on there.
So cliche.
Sort of.
Yeah.
So you can just say
I'm
it.
not going to say it was a cliche because it did have some moments in there which were not in
Original.
It did have.
That were different. That's what I give. That's what
Alright.
I point.
But-
Alright, Trey.
Yeah, overall
How many?
atmosphere.
Alright, Trey. How many galaxies out of 10?
I don't use galaxies. I use pandas.
All
They're
right, then
much
pandas.
more fun.
Space
How many
Pandas.
pandas?
Space pandas.
How many space pandas out of 10?
I'm gonna stick with Zach. I'm gonna give it 8 space pandas out of 10. I mean, it was a good movie. You know, it's meant for those who have an open mind and an open imagination about space and travel and time lapses about how you go around a wormhole and it becomes like 7 years, or how a planet's dates are incredibly longer than the ones that are here on Earth. Those things were fun. Like, there's a portion in the film where they tell you the elapsed time on said planet. I'm like, oh crap, that's a long time for one day.
Well, I did like
And
that
was
they.
different.
Not even an hour.
I did like that they did that. It was only for the planet that was in the black hole's gravitational pull.
Alright, Chris. How many out of 10?
10 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed the film front to back. I will admit that Act 1 and 2 are pretty steady, and if you're not really into the dialogue or whatever, you could fall asleep, but for me, it was worth waiting for that third act. I just loved the movie. I think Matthew McConaughey did excellent. I think that's Oscar worthy, and Hathaway was a great supporting cast. Michael Caine. The music was beautiful. Hans Zimmer outdid himself. I'm not gonna lie, that was just. I'm gonna get a soundtrack. That was my favorite, and I really enjoyed the movie. I'm gonna watch it again, especially in IMAX. If you're next to an IMAX, go see this movie, especially if it's a 70mm screen.
I'm going to give this thing a 4 out of 10.
Impossible.
I know, impossible. But no, there was just, I could not get into the movie. I kept getting motion sick, and I just had to keep looking away, and then it was so boring at some points. It was not a film for me. While Big Hero 6, I screamed like a 6-year-old seeing like Mickey Mouse for the first time. It was so great. But that is all the time we have for now. Next week I'm not gonna be here.
Sad face.
But you, I know I'm moving. I'm sorry,
people
guys.
in Alabama.
But I will be
Next
sending in
week-
videos telling you guys about how I feel about these movies. But
We hope you like our reviews. Next week we're gonna have another one. We're gonna review 2 films, Dumb and Dumber 2, which could be interesting because it's 20 years in the making.
I will not be watching
And the other film we got.
Beyond the Lights, the only person I actually know in this film is Machine Gun Kelly, and that's really it. He's a rapper, for those who have no idea who that is. He's a white boy rapper. That's what's going to be interesting.
That
So-
sounds a lot better than Dumb and Dumber 2.
It looks interesting. The commercials make it seem fun. But anyway, that's as much time we got for you guys today. Thank you for joining us on this lovely couch where we all got to fit somehow because the magic of video editing works. And as always, my name's Trey.
I'm Hillary.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Kidman.
Thanks for watching.
I really think that you should cosplay Wasabi. I'm just saying.
I'm going to. We're going to do that. If you guys are ever in the Orlando area and want to go see us at MegaCon, that's definitely what we're going to be doing. What?
Pizza!
What? Peace out! Get out of here!